Alright, we've covered just a few of the basics in Photoshop. Now I want to show you a few more. One of the questions that you might have is, what if I want to play with these strokes that I made independently? Like if I just wanted to move that red dot over here, and if I wanted to erase part of that green stripe without affecting anything else, how do I do that? Well, the answer is you can't, because we did all this stuff on one layer on the background. So we can make things a lot easier on ourselves by working on multiple layers and putting each of these strokes and objects on a different layer. So we're going to start over. So I'm going to get rid of this. I'm going to do Command A on my keyboard, and that'll give me the marching ants. And if I hit delete right now, I'm going to get the black. So pay attention to whatever your background color is, because that is what you will get when you hit delete. So I'm going to hit delete now, and I'll delete with background color. Alright, so to get those ants to go away on your keyboard, you do Command D, and then they're gone. So I'm going to show you that I'm going to change this color to maybe red, and I'm going to get the paintbrush and maybe choose something a little more interesting like this or this, and make it big enough to see. Okay, and so I can make make a mark like that, and it's the reason you can see through it is because my brush right now is set at 48% opacity. I can make that 100 if I want to. But then, let's just say I want to do a different color, so I can change my color either here, or I can go up to swatches and just click on a different color. But instead of just starting to use the paintbrush again like we did last time, I'm going to make a new layer. So I'm going to, I need to push this up so you can see what I'm talking about. Down here in the Layers window, there's a Make New Layer button, Create a New Layer. And if you ever can't see a window that you want to see, like I've got layers, channels, paths, history, adjustments, properties, if you can't see something, you go to Window, and it'll show you the ones that are showing, that are checked. But you can ask for more, like the history to show and that kind of thing. History, by the way, is like a time machine. It shows the past few steps that you've taken, and you can actually go up this list. It's like going back in time, so that's very handy. Alright, you can also undo now in Photoshop. You can do Command Z, and it'll undo things with even the keyboard. Command Z, and then Shift Command Z to go forward again. Alright, but now if I want a different type of stroke and I want it to be independent of the red, I can ask for a new layer. Click there, and now I have this transparent layer on top of what I've already got. So if I make a mark now like this, it's on a separate layer. If I were to use the eraser on it, I can see through it, because this is an independent layer. It's up here above the background, and I can do whatever I want. I can make yet another layer, use a different color, maybe pick a different brush, and then this is this is a third layer. I realize these are just beautiful works of art. If you want one of these, just let me know. They're only about $900 a piece. So you can see the layers are, as you add a new layer, they're stacked on top. The cool thing about layers is that you can move them. If I press on this layer and drag in between layer 2 and the background until I see that blue, see it double highlighted there, and let go, notice this layer is now sandwiched between the other two. So now and then if I go up here and erase this, well, actually, get the eraser tool first, and erase there, I can see beneath it. So these are movable. You can move those layers. Now you cannot move the background. The background is locked. It's on, and whatever you do on the background is on white. And you may not like that. Well, you don't have to stand for it if you don't like that. You can unlock it. And if you know, by clicking on that little lock, if you unlock it and use the eraser, you erase to clear. And you get this checkerboard pattern, which you may think, well, that's weird. I don't want it to print out like that. It won't print out like that. That's just to let you know that it's now transparent. But if you were to print this, that would be white, because obviously paper stays white. But unlocking it means that you can now move it. You can put this on top. See, now that's on the top, but the white is a physical presence which has to be gotten rid of. So, you know, you could erase the white and try to see beneath it. If you're not careful, you'll erase, you know, the graphics, the red that you've got on there. Okay. All right, so that's how layers work. Just a little bit about, say, the eyedropper tool. You might play around with colors and get a color that you like, or very often you'll have a photograph with a color that you want to match. Here I'm going to open a recent photograph. Let's see. Okay. Well, let's just do this photograph, which is, of course, very charming. And let's just say that you have to match, you want to match that exact color in the hat right there. Right there. Well, wherever you click, watch the foreground color. Now see, the foreground color has taken that yellow. Purple. All right, so, and now up here at the top, you'll see that I've got more than one file open. This is a file of a desperate gunslinger, and then over here on the left, my original file, but I've matched the color, and now I can get a paintbrush and I can use that color. And I can use it, you know, at 100% strength if I want. So that's how the eyedropper tool works. Okay. The paint bucket is very interesting and very useful. You click on it and it will fill a particular area with your foreground color. So if I wanted to use the paint bucket, if I wanted to fill this red, I would click on it and notice it filled it part way, didn't fill it all the way. And you might be frustrated by that. You go, why? I just wanted the purple to fill in there. Well, the paint bucket and a lot of other tools in Photoshop work based on something called tolerance. So I'm going to click the paint bucket. Notice the tolerance here is set at 2. That's actually very low. I might increase the tolerance to about 20 and click, and I get a little bit more. But what that means is it will tolerate pixels within a certain variation. So these particular red pixels were not as strong and intense, and so they weren't tolerated and they weren't included. So if let me bump this up to maybe 70. Oh, well, okay, 79. I'll click, and it gets more. So you can see there's some edge things you would have to deal with. And there's other ways to deal with this, better ways that we'll talk about on another day when we talk about adjustments. But this is how the paint bucket works. So the higher the number of the tolerance, the more it will get. The lower the number of the tolerance, the less it will get. Okay, and you can create a shape. Let's see. And then get the paint bucket, maybe change that color. And if you click inside the shape, well, it goes inside and outside because I did not have contiguous on. So let me go back with Command Z to before I used the paint bucket. And you can see if I hide the other layers, that's all on one layer. And so when I used the paint bucket, it filled in the white both inside the shape and outside the shape. But if I turn contiguous on and click inside the shape, it only stays inside the shape. If I click only outside, it only fills in the white outside the shape. That's how contiguous works. I have to click each individual shape of white. Contiguous just means things that are touching. So with contiguous on, it's like the 48 continental United States, the contiguous states, the states that touch each other. With contiguous on, you click and you only get the 48 contiguous states. With contiguous off, you get the 48 states on the continent plus Alaska and Hawaii and Puerto Rico and all the territories. In other words, things that are not touching the main body but are still part of it. So that's the difference between having contiguous on and off, and so that's a very, very useful feature there. Okay, I think that's as far as we'll go this time, and then we'll look at selection techniques next time.